Okay, hello, Nourish. Thank you for joining me this Wednesday. I have a good friend of mine, a woman of faith, a phenomenal, positive woman that she is going to share with you her women's weekend getaway and why this spiritual food is so important. So I'd like to introduce you to Minister Robin Pinckney. Robin, tell us about yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Alice said, we are very good friends. I'm Minister Robin Pinckney. I'm an associate minister at my church, but I also believe that ministry is outside the walls of the church. So I am the founder of Sister Girl, and I also facilitate a getaway weekend once a year in December, where we actually get away from our lives to replenish ourselves and our souls. And we do it in a very intentional and innovative way. And other than that, I am here to love the people and help people in any way that I can.
Okay, so why don't we jump right in? And I want to know, why do you feel that it is essential to have these weekends? What has inspired this?
Many years ago, God blessed me with a wonderful home, a very large home. And I used to have days of respite where people could come to my house as a day to retreat and get away. So that was the beginning of having retreats. And again, being blessed with a house that I asked the Lord for, a home that I got to live in, but it was a home for ministry. I just got the pleasure to live there, and God honored that. There's a distinction between a getaway weekend and a retreat. So
Okay.
retreat is more formal. Usually it's also faith-based often, but it's usually more formal, very planned itinerary.
Okay.
A getaway weekend is basically you pick up your items. I give you 2 to 4 months to plan your getaway, because as women, we over exert ourselves. So you get away. That is your weekend to be detached from things that are in your life, to just relax, release, and recalibrate. And every year I get 3 R's that we focus on, and we get away and we go to a mountaintop retreat. It's not fancy, but it is holistic, and it is in the mountains of New Jersey. And it's we sit in a Victorian home, and I always tell everyone, I'll meet you on the porch, and we have a wonderful weekend.
That sounds great. And I like how, I want to just go back to a point that you made, because you said it's not formal. And usually when I think of retreat, I've the equivalent to what I know you do has always been in my mind, a church retreat or a yoga retreat. And if you don't fall under the church or the yoga category, there was just never an additional opportunity for that. And you have created that space. And I find that inspiring, and I really find that as a needed place, because I know you and I've shared many times outside of the walls of the church. And it's very difficult for some people to get that getaway that you're offering if they don't have a church home. So I really think that that is excellent. And I know last year your retreat, as you said, it's not necessarily faith-based, but it did encompass another religion. So can you share?
It goes back to the origins of when I would do Sister Girl, and it's a ministry that I'm actually going to form into a LLC and make it official. But the premise with Sister Girl is there's a bond and a connection between women that is not defined by our identity. It's defined by us as women. And so we find that common space. And so Sister Girl is where you come, and everyone's not your sister girl. That's an intimate distinction. And so part of the Getaway weekend is, how do I create these intentional, safe, there is a level of sacredness. Being a minister, faith comes into it, but I don't anchor the whole weekend that you have to be Christian. You have to be someone who wants to get centered in yourself. So with that, we come together as women, and generally it is to get away, to truly relax in its deepest sense. And one of my colleagues at work, and because I send it out to women of different faiths, races and so forth, there are no boundaries in this. And it was the first time we had someone come that was, her background is, she follows the Jewish faith. And she really trusted me. And she trusted what she read on the flyer, that she would be comfortable in that breathing space. And that's how I look at it. We come to conspire, to breathe together. Con with spire, breathe together. And so she came. And it was interesting to plan a weekend knowing in advance that she was coming, because I always want her to feel safe. Some of the things that I do in my personal life with the gift of hospitality, but also in my work life, it's that inclusion, being included and feeling you are belonging. That's the air that I breathe. And she felt very comfortable with us. And there was one interesting moment. Someone was handing out, we do a sister to sister exchange. And that's basically, you bring something that you want to exchange, you want to give to the women that are there, that reflects our theme of relaxation with intentionality. And someone gave out calendars and they had scriptures on it. And the scripture on hers was what we would call New Testament. And she gracefully and graciously went up to someone else and says, do you mind if I switch calendars? I'm kind of an Old Testament kind of lady. And it was so gentle, but it was wonderful that she felt safe. There are into that common space to breathe together, based on the fact that as women, we tend to juggle so many things and we need our respite. And so again, that first one was relax. Come and intentionally relax. That's the first day. The second day, we had to release those things that keep us from relaxing. And then our last day, we had to recalibrate. When you recalibrate, it doesn't change what the item is. It just says you change the rhythm. Exactly. And that's the intention of it.
Excellent. I love what you do, and I love why you do it. And I know that you are a woman of inclusion. And that's the main reason I wanted to bring you on, because quite often when you speak about doing spiritual or faith-based things, people, you run to their corners, everybody run into their corners. And then if there's somebody that doesn't have a corner, they're kind of like, well, where do I go? Where's my team? And I just felt what you do, you don't need to be on a team. You don't need to be on a team to get away and have that connection and have that spiritual food, you being fed in that way. So
I believe everyone needs a safe place to land. And as a minister, but even before the title came because in actuality, my pastor felt I needed a title, but I was doing ministry for a long time, which is mainly serve the people. And one of my professors in seminary said, you know that you have been called to minister if you can love the people, especially if you can love the people when they're not as lovable. And when I do ministry, it is about tapping into that person. And I believe God gives me the ability to see that person's spiritual address. So just like you have an address to a home, you could put that in a GPS and it'll direct you. So when I can see and I can discern a person's spiritual address, that's where you tap in that sense of belonging, that safe place, that safe space, that what we say in church, heart to heart, breast to breast. So literally that place that person can come breathe. And I am fully aware and I operate with clarity that God has given me a gift that people can bring their woundedness in my presence, and I won't take it I won't take it advantage of it. But my purpose is, where is that salve? What is that you need? And I truly believe a smile can save a life, and it has. Serve a God that is a creative being. And in that creativity, there's liberty and there's release. And it's wonderful when we do activities, whether it is painting and or it's doing a craft, or it's doing an exercise that is symbolic of something. Like, I'll give out a clear stone, and I'm a meaning maker. And so that clear stone looks like a Dollar Tree stone, but I'll say, this is the clarity that you must have in your life. And I, to this day, carry mine. So creating those moments where people can express themselves creatively. And one of the best experiences are those that claim they have no creativity. And by the time they finish the weekend, and the smiles and the resilience that they're walking away with, a painting or a vision board or something that they did that 48 hours before they would have sworn up and down they never could do. Because when you can be still and reconnect with yourself, you discover who you are. And one of my clarity stones in life is, I am on this earth to give voice to the voiceless. We lose our voices in so many ways. We lose it through the trials of life, the traumas of life, the fact that we may not know who we are or why we're doing what we're doing. But yet, if you're hearing all the sounds of the world, you can't be still long enough to discover who you are. And my job, even as a life coach, is not to tell you who you are. It is just to create the opportunity for you to breathe into who you are. And that's why we have to get away to do that.
Excellent. How would you encourage others to do this for themselves or form something like this? What would be some ideas that you would share?
Well, first thing I would encourage anyone to do is, like the analogy with the airplane, put your mask on first, because you can't help anyone else if you can't breathe.
Right.
And so the first thing is, what do you need to do to have your own getaway? And that getaway it's an intentional, defined time. If I would ask you, can I have 20 minutes of your time, and you would put me on your calendar for 20 minutes, you have to know that you're even far more important than that. So plan a time and take it in small increments, that's your time to get away and be away undisturbed. And then increase that. You could do it for a couple of hours. You may want to do it for a weekend, and you need to let the people around you know what the symbols are when you're doing it. My family knows I'm very open, but when that door is closed in my bedroom, even the baby knows to knock on the door before she comes in her dome. So plan that. And there's materials online. If you put getaway weekend, you could do your own. You could do it with journaling. You could do it with a walk. Whatever it is, you define what it takes for you to get away and be still. Then anyone that feels that drawing to provide a getaway weekend, I caution you to be very, very, very grounded. Know that you will be exerting a lot of yourself. So if you feel that is something that you're called to do, you may want to try to go to one first, and then find out what is your unique niche. And then create that, because you can't give away what you don't possess. So do that. So start with yourself, figure out what it takes for you to center. Also, start having conversations with other people around me. This past December, and I work in healthcare, and I'm in a facility, a hospital system that has been bore the biggest brunt of COVID in the state of New Jersey, where I live. And yet, through all of that, all I knew was, if no other year we need to get away and to breathe and conspire, it was this year. And so I had to be open and rethink the entire weekend, because we had to have social distancing. We had to, and social distance is not just me away from you. It had to be social distancing with eating, the crafts and the activity, social distance with the sleeping. It was every facet of the weekend I had to reconfigure. And I have to tell you, it was one of the most dynamic weekends. Our numbers were cut in half, which was fine, because to me it was ordained, because every person had their own table to eat in. Everyone had their own table to do their activities at. Everyone had their own room. And in most of the rooms, you have anywhere from 2 to 4 people in the room. So everyone had the true essence of what it was about. And to do this in a pandemic, and also people let me know what made them comfortable with coming was the fact that they said they trusted me so much, and they could see I did so much effort in my correspondence to let them know how I was keeping them safe. As it turned out, half the people end up not coming, and that happened more so in the last week and a half, because many of us are in healthcare. They felt that they had to fulfill their calling and take care of those in the hospital. But I tell you, those that came left change, and I left change as well, because when you do it because it's what you're called to do, it's amazing. And the same the women that could not come, the 10 or so that could not come, because of the way things were done and packaged, I was able to give them all the material and all the crafts and all the things afterwards. I had to learn how to package that up in a different way. And guess what? They didn't physically come to the retreat. I intentionally didn't Zoom people in, because we needed to get away from virtual everything. But yet they were part of our weekend, because they had everything we had. Right. And some of them did the activities in their own home. So what did they do? They had their own getaway moments in their home.
Oh, that's excellent. That is so, and that's why I wanted you to come on and speak about it, because it was so motivating when you were telling me about it. And I know for a fact that you do work for the hospital system that was most talked about. Even while I was living in California, I heard about your hospital almost daily.
Yeah.
So I know you were coming out of a pressure cooker, and still decided to move forward with having this weekend, and what you shared with me that came out of the weekend made me want to share your story so much more. And I thank you so much for being a part of this. And I'm looking forward to the amazing things that you're going to continue to do, and the amazing growth and the way you're going to continue to touch and embrace women. And I know your ministry is way beyond the walls of the church, because your heart is way beyond. And you are open to everyone being included, and that's what I love about you, and that's why you're my sister and close friend. Full disclosure, she's a close friend.
That's my sister, girl.
That's my sister. So, but thank you so much for being a part of this, and all the information will be listed below, so you can reach out to Minister Robin Pinckney if you want to get some ideas on doing a getaway weekend yourself, or just want to get to know her a little bit better, because she's well worth getting to know. But thank you, Robin, for taking time to do this with me. And much love, much love.